What is the absolute worst thing that I have ever encountered in the film industry? Well, I can answer that because some people ask me that when they see me out and about the community doing my thing. In 2013, me and another colleague of mine, Martin, I made a film called Revenge of the Jack-O-Lantern. It revolves of a bunch of young kids out on Halloween, and you know what kids do when they go out on Halloween. Majority of them usually are up to no good at that time. So they like to smash pumpkins, egg people's houses, things like that, mischief. And I said, let's do a story about a bunch of kids who smash a few Halloween pumpkins, but as they do it, they're not aware of that the pumpkins that they smashed are possessed with a curse. The pumpkins come back, it grows up into be a full blown adult pumpkin, jack o' lantern, and it comes back and it kills just about every single one of them that was behind its destruction when it was a kid, when it was just a small pumpkin. So I pitched it around a few times in 2013. A lot of people liked it. So I called Martin and I said, let's film this. So he came out. The film was filmed in my backyard in Porter's Lake, so we filmed it. And me and Martin took turns playing the bad guy, the jack-o'-lantern. We took turns back and forth. The running scene, I did my running scene about 2 weeks before Martin came out and filmed his running scene. So technically, when I did my running scene, it's in the scene where Martin's doing his running scene. It was actually 2 weeks apart from each other from the film date when we filmed. So we took turns playing the jack-o'-lantern, and it involved a pickaxe, which I had. And the pickaxe, the only way to kill this villainous jack-o'-lantern is out for revenge for the people who smashed him when he was younger, was a pickaxe through the top of the head. Now, I wouldn't advise you all to try that at home because the turnout may not be too good, but it went over well. So we did the filming. Now, the worst part about the film was when people watched it, I had a person come up to me actually thinking me and Martin, now get this, were actually swinging the pick at each other trying to kill one another. And I remember scratching my head, and I remember a few other people looking and saying, holy Lord, the crazy sure come out at a certain time, don't they? They do. And I remember looking at her and I said, you remember all those Western movies that you watched when you were a kid? John Wayne, Dean Martin, made the list go on. I told her, I said, when they do the shooting scenes, they're shooting blanks, right? And chances are the guns are not even real. Because I remember telling her, the shooting scenes that you see in my films are not real guns. I go to the dollar store, which anybody can do, making a cheap film. Make sure the toy gun looks real as possible. You can even use a pellet gun at Canadian Tire or Walmart, if Walmart still sells them. And I don't mean those guns you can tell that it's not real. I mean the guns that look real close to the real thing. The pellet guns that look real close to the real thing. Those are the ones that I target. You don't need no pellets. You don't need nothing. When you do the shooting scene, your computer with the film editing software does the sound effects. And then if you got the flash blank, it looks like it's the gun's going off, when really it's not. And when the person gets shot, you put some blood and some stuff there and make it look real. Then they do their dying scene or whatever. That's what we do. When I had that person come up to me saying, gee, Adam, you and that Marty there, you guys don't mind swinging that axe hard at one another. The crazies come out no matter what. The pickaxe was real. but we were not swinging it at one another. In fact, we made a mistake with the film. When his character, when he was playing the villain as Jack Lantern, was supposed to stab me in the chest, when I ducked out of the way, the film editor, which we were doing, forgot to sped it up to make it look like I'm getting out of the way right fast. In fact, I took my time getting out of the way. That was actually a mistake that was made on the film editing department. I mean, the film did quite well. It was liked, but we made a mistake on it. But even in Hollywood, with the best of movies that you watch, anywhere sort of with that production, with the film editing, anywhere's under the production crew, guarantee you they made mistakes that you don't realize that they made when you're sitting there enjoying the movie. It's done many a times in the past. And like one of the challenges that we had when making that film was we filmed it in 2013, but it didn't come out until 2015. And that was because we didn't have a very good visual effects software on our computer. It wasn't buyable. You don't want some piece of junk there and you can easily tell it's fake. You don't want that. You need something that's okay. It doesn't have to be top line, as long as it's okay. And that's what we use. It's okay. It's not how you would want it, but it's okay. And it did quite well. And there's another film that I was involved with that I did my whole life. I was always involved with storytelling and short films and videos that involved Star Trek. And I had a relative come out to me asking me if I still had the phaser and if I still had the communicator. And I said yes. But I said the phaser and the communicator, the batteries are dead. They don't work. And he asked me, well, say, gee, Adam, did you use that in your film with the dead batteries? I go, yeah. Except for a tricorder. The tricorder was real. But now, the tricorder that you see here, batteries are dead. So if I flip it up, don't have the bloop sound. It's not there because the batteries are dead. And I told him, I said, it's just as well that the batteries are dead anyways because the computer, the software, does all the sound effects anyways. And people like me, when I do Star Trek, I get the same problem as William Shatner. Hair problem on top of my head. William Shatner wore a fake hairpiece through his whole career when he was doing Star Trek. From the 1960s right till the end, through the 1980s and the early 90s. 94, when he killed off his famous Captain Kirk character. William Shatner wore a hairpiece on his head. And he also had a stomach problem, a big stomach problem. So do I, same problem. But sometimes they wore a girdle over their stomach. Make it look like they're in shape, and really, they're so far out of shape, it's unreal. But when I did Star Trek, it was cheaply done. I mean, we struggled with getting the shots with the ship flying by and all this stuff. But we did it. And then when I did several other a whole Star Trek fantasy series, I should say, of the original, it did quite well. Except for the last episode, it did well, but we didn't care anyways because that was our last episode, and we had no intentions of making any more, so we didn't care if the last episode was a low turnout or not. We didn't really care. Neither did myself, because that was our last one. But when we went to we made a fan episode of the Star Trek The Motion Picture, the response was tremendous. It was like Star Trek was reborn all over again. And as much as Star Trek impacted a lot of things in our world, medically wise, the problems that we see around us out in the community, Star Trek put us on a better world and a better society for us to be putting our focus on. Even though that when we look around us, we don't see us, humanity, going down a very good road, because the indicator is pointing in a disastrous direction, a direction that we don't want to be in. But into the film industry, we often make mistakes in films that you may not be aware of. Like I did with the Revenge of the Jack-o'-lantern. With the software editing, where I was supposed to sped up, and the jack-o'-lantern was supposed to stab me with the pickaxe. Supposed to sped me up, but we forgot to do it. But despite of that, the film did quite well. Am I going to do it again, a remake? Yeah, I will. Because, first of all, Marty passed away. He's no longer with us. And we're going to redo that all over again. But anyways, yeah, there was a lot of odd things. Fans came up to me about that short film. Are you guys actually out there with a pickaxe stabbing each other? And I remember saying, if we actually took a pickaxe and stabbed one another, you're not going to stand a very good chance because a pickaxe will kill you pretty quick. And I said, I think we answered your question very fast. Pretty good, I should say. No. It was made up, it was fake as sin. And similar to it, when we were not just talking about Star Trek, Star Trek had this, the producers, when they did Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, you may remember back in 1986, Leonard Nimoy was the director. And it was about the whales. The crew of the Enterprise had to hijack the Klingon ship, go back in time, back of Earth of the past in 1986, and had to bring these two whales named George and Gracie, a male and female whale, back to Earth in the 23rd century. What was wrong with that? Similar to my Revenge of the Jack-o'-lantern, where I had a viewer thought that we were actually trying to kill each other with a pickaxe. Leonard Nimoy and the producers of Star Trek, Paramount, who owned Star Trek, had an animal rights activist group go after them, protesting that they were using whales to make a movie, real whales to make a movie. So the Paramount called Leonard Nimoy if they would come out and invite the animal rights activists. I believe it was the World Wildlife Funds, if I'm correct, the WWF, whatever you want to call them. And they met with Leonard. And Leonard took them in the back of their production, and they showed them the whales. And the animal activist people were stunned to see what they came across. All the whales that they were protesting, thinking that was real, they were all mechanically robotic whales for the movie. Not one whale that they seen in that movie in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, was real. It was all fake. In spite of that, Leonard Nimoy even said, "Do you ever made mistakes with the whales? They're trying to make it look if it was actually swimming." Some of the whales were like going straight because they couldn't get the mechanical devices to make the whale look like it was actually swimming. And they said, would a whale actually allow a person, like Leonard did in the movie when he was playing Spock, to do a Vulcan mind meld, jump in the pool, and do a Vulcan mind meld on the whales? And if you remember Leonard, he jumped in the pool, he performed a Vulcan mind meld on the whales. And this woman said, maybe he's singing to that man. And when that lady said that, you see Shatner covering his face like that. Oh my God, what's Leonard Spock doing? He was doing a Vulcan mind meld on the whales. And we all know if that was real, a whale would not allow a person to perform a Vulcan mind meld on a whale to conduct a movie. A whale will get rid of you real quick if it wants to. But like to my statement, like I said, about the Revenge of the Jack-o'-lantern, I had a fan come up to me thinking that me and Marty were actually swinging a pickaxe, trying to kill one another, believe it or not. I went like Leonard Nimoy with the whales, with the whale activist, animal rights activist. He had to pull them aside like I did and show them how we did it. So after Nora showed it, besides people looking at this woman, thinking this woman's crazy, asking if Adam and Marty actually took a pick and tried to kill each other, they scratched their head and shook their heads, oh, holy Lord. And then when they realized how fake it was, that ended that. But you got to do a lot of things to make things work. And that's what we did. I try all kinds of different techniques experiments, but the Revenge of the Jack-o'-lantern is something that we're going to look at remaking. Because I remember going to the Porter's Lake Superstore. I went there to go buy a pumpkin. And I remember going there not even sure if I even had enough money to buy the pumpkin. I was looking for a big pumpkin because my head was a big head. So we got lucky, we found one, and I carved it back out. And the head would fit right in perfectly, and we made the design. It wasn't the best of design. And I had an old belt. On the side of the pumpkin's face, I carved a little slot, both sides. And I had a belt that would go behind our head and it would hold the mask of the pumpkin to your face. It was a real pumpkin, what we were wearing. The pumpkin's long gone, dissolved and rotted away, of course. Long time from 2013 to be hanging on to it. But that's what we did. And the movie did quite well. Like I said, we're going to do it again. We're going to try to remake it. And we're going to see how it goes. But that just shows all the techniques and the bizarre craziness questions that people get asked.